I'm just telling everyone listening to take time for yourself, that it is not selfish to fill your own cup, that you need to fill your cup in order, it's a cliche, but fill your cup so that you can pour into other people. It's very important to take time to do things that you love so that you can be more likely to love life, because that's the whole purpose.
Join me, 'cause I'm seeking sunshine, 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 I'm seeking sunshine.
Welcome to Seeking Sunshine, Do What Lights You Up, a podcast for passionate, creative moms who are ready to live their best life and be their full, lit-up selves while being amazing moms, because it's possible to be both. It turns out that you don't have to lose yourself in motherhood, and I'm here to show you how. This is Seeking Sunshine 2.0 because we are no longer focusing on the problems, but on the solutions. It's your turn to shine. Hey guys, welcome back to the Seeking Sunshine podcast. Thank you so much for coming and listening. Today's show is going to be amazing, and I'm really excited to share this interview with you. The guest today is my amazing friend, Becca Ingersol, and she's so amazing. She's been through so much, and this interview is going to light up your whole day. I'm really excited for you to hear this discussion. We're going to talk about moving through trials, believing in our own worthiness, which is just so essential, and then how important it is to take time for ourselves. I'm really thrilled that I got to be able to talk to Becca because she is such a light. Becca is a wife, a mom of twin boys with special needs, and a survivor of many hard knocks of life. And you're going to hear some of her story in this episode. She's truly incredible. She also happens to be a writer, a blogger, and a podcaster, and she is passionate about helping other women, especially moms, and especially moms of kids with special needs, know that they are not alone. She enjoys sharing stories, her own as well as others, of resilience, especially on her podcast, which is called Finding Joy Through Life's Trials, which is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And speaking of podcasts, I'm really excited to announce that my podcasting course, which is the Podcast Like a Mother podcast creation course, is finally ready to be shared with the world. Guys, I cannot even describe how much work and how difficult it was to get this ready for you. Like literally last night at 10 o'clock, I hit publish on this course and I was so excited, and I blasted it off to everyone on my email list and to all my favorite groups and my favorite people. And I was like, okay guys, if you see any errors in it, let me know, okay? And of course, I woke up to, oh, hey, you should know that your first video freezes halfway through and there's no more sound. And I went to investigate, and I found out it wasn't just an upload issue. It wasn't just oh, just go re-upload the video. No, it went back so far that I had to remake 5 of my videos from scratch. I had to go completely remake. I didn't have to refilm them, but I had to take my original Zoom footage and re-edit them. And it was such a panic day today of I launched my course last night without really thinking much about it, and then realizing that because what had happened was I had gone through and made sure that everything worked, but I didn't watch through. There's like 4.5 hours of content in this course, guys. I didn't watch through every single second of every single video. There's 25 videos. I watched through the first like minute of each to make sure they all played, but it was the second half of 5 of these videos that didn't work right. And I was kind of having a panic attack all day while I raced to refinish these videos, and I had other stuff I had to do today. Anyways, it was insanity, and someday I will make my own course on how to make courses, and it will be so much about the tech, because I made most of my course, like I did all the editing for it on my cell phone, which is a little crazy. Anyways, so that was my side tangent on podcasting. And if you are interested in learning about podcasting, the first 2 videos of my course are actually free to watch. And the link for that, it's a long link. It's not impossible to read, but it's really long because it's like a thinkific. It's like podcast like a mother.com/thinkific. I don't even know what it is, but it's in the show notes, and you should go click it and at least tell me I did a good job. Because I have been working tirelessly on this course. Like, I've lived in a bubble and, like, done very little else for, like, a solid month. Maybe more than a month. Anyways, you should go click on the link and tell me I did a good job. Even if you don't want a podcast, because that would make me feel really a lot better. Anyways, back to Becca, who is so amazing and deserves all of our attention right now and deserves me to not get sidetracked. Becca's amazing. I'm so excited for you to hear this interview. Welcome, Becca. Well, hi, Becca. I'm so excited to have you today on the Seeking Sunshine podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and to talk to you again, my friend.
I know you're the best, and I know you have you have an amazing story, and it's really incredible, and I'm excited for everyone to hear it because I've heard it, and I know that you've been through so much, and you're doing so many amazing things. So let's hear from you because you're such a light, and you're such an inspiration, and you're just amazing. So I would love to hear from you and hear all about your boys and your whole journey getting to who you are now.
Oh, you are too kind, for sure, too kind. Where do you want me to start?
Wherever you want. I mean, probably with the boys, because I know that's kind of like your big, like, that's like the big thing,
Instigating,
right?
what's the inciting incident, right?
Yeah.
So I am a mom to 2 wonderful twin boys who are 7 now, Lincoln and Logan. And we've had a bit of a journey, my husband and I, in getting them earthside and keeping them here. So I always wanted to be a mom. And then it took us 5 years of infertility, going through infertility before I was able to get pregnant with them. So that was back in 2016 that I was able to get pregnant with them. And we were obviously so excited and super excited that it was twins, because when you've waited that long, you're like, okay, 2 at the same time. And
I get a twofer.
Yes, exactly. So excited. And we have been so blessed, but things didn't go the way we thought they would, as
Dun, dun,
life
dun.
doesn't,
Right.
So they decided to come super early. So they came at 23 weeks, 6 days gestation. So just shy of 24 weekers. And they were in the NICU for almost 6 months before we got to bring them home. So as you can imagine, any NICU time is difficult. Even half a day, a NICU mom knows that it's difficult.
Yep.
And we lived that life for over 5 months. So it brought Josh, my husband, and I super close together and super close to our Heavenly Father and Jesus. A lot of prayer, a lot of scripture reading, and relying on our faith to get us through that. But they both came home. They only originally had a 50% chance of survival, each of them, but they both made it. not unscathed. Like Lincoln, both of them have special needs, but Lincoln has more. So he has cerebral palsy and he has a shunt. We're on a few wait lists to get both of them tested. We assume that both of them have ADHD and or are on the spectrum. But hopefully we'll get a call one of these days because we've been on the
Oh,
wait list
the
forever.
wait lists
The
are
wait list,
just,
I
I
know.
could talk about the wait lists for
Yeah,
so
especially
many.
in this state. They're
Utah.
horrendous.
I mean,
Yep.
it's a thing.
It's the thing. Yep, special needs moms get it. But yeah, so he's mostly nonverbal, but he's just such a light. He is just when he is happy. I mean, he shows his emotions on his sleep. So when he's not happy, you know it. But when he's happy, he's just glowing and has the best grin and laugh and just lights everyone's day up around him. And Logan just is always making us laugh. He's super creative and imaginative. They're both in first grade at the time at this moment, and they're doing great. But it has still been a struggle. Do you want me to just keep going? I feel like I could just talk
Well, I
forever
happen
about
to
them.
know that there is one big piece to your puzzle
Yeah,
that you haven't quite mentioned yet. So
yeah.
mention that one and then I'll ask you
And
something else.
okay, so I said that it hasn't been like an easy, smooth sailing parenting journey. So Lincoln and Logan have always had lots of therapy appointments and follow-up doctor's appointments. That's just always been our life. But the big change came when just after they turned 3, Lincoln was diagnosed with leukemia. So Lincoln had cancer. He is thankfully in remission now, but he went through 27 months of chemotherapy treatments, and there were a lot of scary times throughout then, both when they were in the NICU and especially during his cancer treatment. A lot of hospital stays. He coded once and had to get intubated. And yeah, so anytime I hear, like I'm in a hospital and I hear cold flu, there's those PTSD triggers and everything. But he made it. He has favorable genes, like that with genetic testing and things, some chemotherapies and treatments work better for some people than others, and he got lucky in his genes in that way. And so he has between a 95 and 98% chance of his cancer never coming back. So pretty much as high as it could be, but it was hell for a couple of years there.
Yeah, 27 months were they consecutive?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not the same for all cancers or childhood cancers, but for leukemia, their goal is to have the kid reach remission within the first month of treatment.
Wow.
And he actually did it. Lincoln did it. But the tests are such, and the research has shown that, I don't know, leukemia especially, and cancer in general is sneaky, and it can be hiding there even if the tests don't pick it up.
Yeah.
So through research, they've come to the protocol that if you don't continue treatment for 2 more years, it used to be longer, but for 2 more years after reaching remission, then the odds of it coming back are a lot higher.
So you're incredible. And yeah, I mean, like that's so I'm curious about your life, pre-kids and
Yes.
your hopes and your dreams before all this, because,
Yes.
as another mom who has kids with special needs, I know that like your life, although it seems like your life begins with kids,
Right.
because that's when the story always begins. You're like, oh yeah, that's the
That's
exciting
where we'll
incident
start talking.
of my
Yeah.
life. Like you as a human didn't start in that moment. Like,
Very true. Yes.
right, like all of who you are as
Mhm.
a human with hopes and dreams and goals, like you started way before that. So
Yes.
who is Becca as a dreamer and as an
Yes.
ambitious person?
Yeah.
What was you before all of
Uh-huh.
that?
Thank you for asking that, because I think moms need to be reminded of that all the time. But so I am similar to you in that I've always had big dreams, and I kind of for many, many years put those dreams on the shelf, and we'll get to when I decided to pick them back up again. But my earliest dream was that I wanted to be a famous actress. So I loved being on the stage. My parents put me into acting classes when I was in kindergarten, ironically, because I was so shy. They wanted me to come out of my shell a little bit. And I am still an introvert, believe it or not, but I love being on the stage. So I acted, I was on the stage and in musicals uh, and concerts and everything from kindergarten all the way through college. But by the time I got, you know how culture and society makes you think certain limiting beliefs about yourself. I thought
I
I
literally gave a speech on this entire
did
topic
you?
yesterday. So
Yeah,
well, and
perfect.
one thing that I've been, pondering on and talking about, I think I did a whole podcast episode on this, is how you can be shy and introverted and all of these things, and also have these big dreams of
Yeah.
being on stage. And actually, I learned that like a lot of big famous actors are
Mm-hmm.
also introverts and are also
Yes.
shy. And it's like, we get this idea in our heads that like we can't be both things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like I spent so much of my life like demanding of myself that I be
Yes.
outgoing and extroverted, and like that wasn't really me.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yeah. So one of my limiting beliefs earlier on was I thought I wasn't pretty enough to succeed as an actress. And
The
so,
world tells us that one a lot as
yes,
women that
absolutely. So I still wanted to be on the stage, but I told myself I wasn't ambitious enough. I didn't
mm,
want the rejection after rejection after rejection. So I was like, I'm just not going to pursue that one. But I still wanted to like have it in my life or whatever. And then the next biggest dream that I still have is I wanted to become a published and well-known author because I've always loved writing, always, always. And from about sixth grade on, I decided I wanted to be an English teacher. I've always loved reading, as you can see behind me, lots of books.
I love it.
So I wanted the security of knowing I would have a job after college, but doing something I liked. So I became a teacher, and wasn't what I liked. It was not what I liked at all. So that was so I come from a teaching background. My dad is a teacher, lots of family members who are teachers. I loved being in school all through high school. So I just always thought, oh, that's what I'm made to be. But it wasn't. Like I
Well, and the
liked a
thing
lot of
is,
things about it, but it wasn't what I
oh,
was expecting.
I have so much like love and respect for teachers because that
Mm-hmm.
has got to be like one of the top most difficult
Yeah.
professions of all time
Agreed.
because there is so much, it's just an energy sucking
Yeah.
profession. Like
Mm-hmm.
no matter how much you love those kids, there's so
Yes.
much, so many demands placed on
Yes.
teachers, and it's like you can't just teach for the love of teaching. There's so much
No,
bureaucracy and so many like
for sure.
requirements that like don't have anything to do with actually just teaching.
Amen. Yeah, and it's very similar to motherhood in that it seems like a thankless job. Like
Oh yeah.
people are always pointing the finger of you should be doing this, you should be doing that, whether
You
it's
all getting
administration
paid.
or parents. And yeah,
Yeah.
minimal. Yeah, very minimal. So, but it's what I did. I graduated. I became a teacher and school librarian. I loved the school librarian part, not so much that I like things about teaching, but I
But
from
I bet the
college.
school librarian was a lot more fun because
Oh
there's
yes, for
way
sure, much
fewer
more fun.
demands
Yeah,
on
exactly.
being a
Uh-huh.
librarian where you
Yeah.
get to just love up on all those amazing
Mm-hmm.
kids
And
and
teach
teach
them
them.
and not have to grade them. Yeah, exactly.
Mm, yes.
So I did that before we got pregnant. And like I said, I liked certain things about it, but from the first year on, I was like, it was just this cloud hanging over my head of I was like, you think about
Survival mode.
retirement, and I was like, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. But I needed income and we needed money for infertility treatment. So I just trudged through and I did it for, let's see, I taught for 5 years and then I was a librarian, just a librarian for 2 more years. And then I had my boys, and it's kind of ironic. Be careful what you wish for, because before I had my boys, I sat down with Josh and I was like, okay, so before I got pregnant with them, actually, I sat down with him and I was like, I cannot keep doing this as a teacher. I have to, something's got to give because my mental health was not good at the moment. I was dreading waking up every day. I had what I call the Sunday night blues. So every
Mm,
single Sunday, I was just dreading the morning and having to go to work again, and just always having things hanging over my head of grading and lesson planning and all that. Anyway, and so that's when I moved to just being a librarian, which was better, but it wasn't as much better as I was hoping it would be. And then, like I said, be careful what you wish for. At that point, I was like, can I just stay home for a while and like regain my sense of self? And Josh wasn't super excited about that concept, but he was open to it. He's not a no, you have to bring in money. Like he's not controlling at all. But it's also not we also had gotten used to being, have you heard the acronym DINK? Dual
no.
income, no kids.
Ah,
Nice. Like we traveled a lot and had fun, you know? So we've gotten used to having a certain lifestyle, and it was difficult to give that up. But anyway, I keep saying be careful what you wish for, because then we had our micro preemies and all sorts of doctor's appointments and therapies. And it was like, okay, well, there's no option. You have to stay home, because if you're working, we'll still be paying someone else to take care of them, and no one will take care of them as well as you anyway. So I've been a stay-at-home mom since then, since they were born.
yep. Well, and especially when you have kids that have particular needs
Mm-hmm.
and it's just it becomes so complicated that it's like, no, mom is really what's needed here and
Yep.
paying for specialty care is not cheap and
No.
not doable most
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah. Or
And
even
when there's
accessible
multiples,
sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. So like my boys came home on oxygen, so it wasn't just a normal newborn experience
yep.
either. Yeah.
hmm So how have you been able to I mean, gosh, when you're literally living in survival mode
Right.
for so many years, because I also
Mm-hmm.
did that. I mean,
Yep.
I
Yep.
know how
We've
that
talked
feels,
about it.
and
Yep.
I've been asked this question, so I know how I answered this question. I
Yep.
want to ask you this question. How
Yeah.
do you find ways to find light and to find
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
when life is survival mode, when it's all doctor's appointments and it's all, I mean, as a mom to needy newborns,
Yeah.
you're giving every moment.
Right.
Like your body, your mind, your soul, it all goes to them. And
Yes.
you have to find some way to keep your sanity.
Right. Right.
So what did you
Yeah.
do? How did you get through that?
Yeah. Well, I will say that it's much better now that I'm not in survival mode,
Yeah.
but there were certain things that helped get me through those really tough years. So, luckily, I mentioned this on another podcast interview recently. There's a poem, and I won't read the whole thing, but it talks about like how God chooses preemie moms or NICU moms. And one of the lines has always stuck out to me that some people might take offense to, but I was like, yes, that's true. Like it talked about like an angel basically being with God and assigning different children to different moms. And eventually he assigns a NICU baby to a mom. And the angel asks why and is giving all these reasons why she shouldn't be a NICU mom. And one of the reasons why he gives several, but one of them is she's just the right amount of selfish. And I was like, oh my God, that's true. And he talks about if it's someone who will give and never take a moment for herself, she'll drown in self pity and be so resentful. And I was like, that's true. Because on one hand, like before I read that poem, I kind of felt guilty. You know, the whole mom guilt thing that is always ever present. But I felt guilty about taking time for myself and like not always being at the NICU and things like that. But then I read that and I was like, it's true. For one thing, like we had years of just it being Josh and I that we found a lot of things that we really enjoy just on our own that we weren't willing to give up. We were like, no, we said before, like when we got pregnant, we were like, we are still going to go on date nights. We are still going to have an anniversary trip, even if it's just one night away, things like that. That I know we are super blessed because we have family close by. That's not always the case. So that is one reason I was able to stay sane, because I asked for help and I received it. But another thing was I just was unwilling to 100% give myself and never pour into my own cup. So I would go to book club nights. Not often, but I would. Or I would go on I'd have my mom or mother-in-law babysit and we'd go on a quick date night. Things like just those simple things that it didn't make the day in, day out like easy, but it made it easier to look forward to the next one, the next break.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So my NICU experience was 6 days. My
Mm-hmm.
my youngest was in the NICU for 6 days.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's no what, 3 months?
5, but yeah.
Oh, 5 months.
5 and a
Sorry.
half. Yeah. No, you're
Five and
good.
a half. Oh, I'm sure that every single day counts. I have absolutely no doubt that every single day counts so very much. Yeah, because we did it for 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
And those are hard days. Like
Yeah.
just walking through that. And I mean, were your boys, they were C-section, right?
They actually weren't.
Oh,
So
they weren't
surprisingly,
C-section.
like most of the time they are if they're born that early, but I was able to, we were quick enough that I was able, and they were small, and so I was able to deliver both of them vaginally. And
Mm.
we were in the operating room just in case we had to take them via C-section, but they took them right away to intubate them and get them on oxygen and everything. But
That's
I had them.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's my experience was its own different
Yeah.
beast.
Well, and also you said it was your last kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Josh and I mentioned several times, I don't know how people do this when they have other kids at home because it was bad enough when, like, for a while, like maybe 6 weeks or something like that, Lincoln and Logan were in two different hospitals, and
Oh,
that was hard
wow.
enough. But
Yeah.
having kids at home too, you just always feel torn.
Yeah, we had like I had a C-section with Benjamin and then Joshua, who's severely autistic, and
Mm-hmm.
he was only 3. So that was actually when he
Yeah,
started banging his head on the floor, was
yeah.
when all of a sudden mom was gone because I was in the
Mm-hmm.
hospital for 4 or 5 days. And
Yeah.
then Benjamin was in a different hospital in the NICU.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
my poor husband was like split between 3 places because I was in one hospital and the baby was in
Yes.
a different hospital and the kids were at home.
Oh gosh.
And it was
Yeah,
it was
that's a
crazy.
hectic week. Holy cow.
Yeah, and it was insane. But so how, I mean, I know that you've grown like so much
Yeah.
like through your whole experience like with cancer and with your boys, and I mean the waiting to be diagnosed thing is insane, and I hope that you've been able to get support along this journey before that,
Right.
and like maybe we could talk about that another time because like I'm
Having
like,
friends that also have kids on the spectrum definitely helps to like talk to for sure.
yeah, and I'm like, let me know because we can like I can
Yeah.
help you with that too. But like how have you grown since then? How
Yeah.
have you grown and been able to do more and more of the things that you love that light you
Hmm.
up?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of my, should we say, my superhero origin story.
Oh, I love it. Let's do
Telling
it.
now. So, kind of like your podcast is talking about now, like finding something that truly lights you up and lights the fire under you. So, we've talked about that I was in survival mode for many years, especially during the whole
Yeah.
cancer treatment. And by the end of Lincoln's cancer treatment, so he got done with treatment in March 2022, so almost 2 years ago,
Yeah, and right through the pandemic.
and right through the pandemic. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
diagnosed January 2020, so right before everything locked down.
Well, and how did the pandemic affect like the
Oh, it's
cancer
tough.
treatments?
It was tough because I would say the toughest thing about it was the fact that since obviously everyone was worried and everything, there were more rules at the hospital. So for the first 2 months, it might have been better if it had been the whole pandemic that we'd experienced his treatment. But the first 2 months, Josh and I were there together. We were a team. His employer was awesome and let him take time off. And then the hospital, understandably, but they made rules that only one parent could be there at a time. And so that honestly was the hardest part, was every single time that we went to the hospital, which was a lot, it was usually me because Josh had his job. So it didn't make sense for him to take time off and me just stay home with Logan. So my mom would come and babysit Logan at home because he was still, young, preschool age. And I would go to the hospital and Josh would go to work. And so since we weren't there all the time together, it was a lot harder because
Really
to not have
isolating.
yeah, very isolating. And you also, like, normally at clinic or whatever, like I talked to moms who had their kids diagnosed before or after the pandemic, and they were like, oh yeah, I met so and so in clinic, and like there was not much of meeting of anyone. It was very get you to your room as soon as possible, pull the curtains if there's not a room, and like don't breathe on anyone, So it was very isolating. And like I said, I over and over and over again, I always shout praises to my family because they help support me. But that was it. Like if I hadn't had family close by, then I can't even imagine the isolation because like we didn't see friends very often. Like they helped as much as they could. They'd bring meals occasionally and things like that, but we were protecting our kid who was immunocompromised, So we were very much trying to protect from germs. And
Well,
so,
and this is probably a great just chance to talk about like the importance of a community and
yeah.
friendship and like having those people. And like I feel like that's something that the pandemic just
Mm-hmm.
really solidified for all
So
of us.
true.
Like we need people.
We so
And
do.
not just virtually. Like we need
Yeah.
people in real life.
Yep.
We need that physical energy of other humans around
Yep.
us so much.
Absolutely. That's one of the things. I think any trial, I say this all the time, but any trial that you go through has the potential to make you so much more empathetic. And when we were going through NICU and especially cancer journey, I was like, okay, when I am out of this, I need to help other moms who are their kids are just diagnosed and things like that. So one of the things that I'm really passionate about now is creating a community for moms who feel isolated, feel alone. And it doesn't have to be childhood cancer. It can also be like special needs mom or any mom. But like I created a Patreon community and a Facebook group if you're a Patreon member. And I just want people to know that they are not alone. So I'm doing a lot of different things that help women come together. Like on a couple other childhood cancer moms and I started a support group for moms here in Utah, and we have a support group that meets once a month. And I took over like a fundraising thing for childhood cancer, and I am doing like a reading retreat this weekend for moms who never have time to read and want to just have fun with girlfriends. You just need that time away from all of your responsibilities to focus on you to refill your
Mhm.
cup so that you can go back home and be the best you that you can be.
I love it so much. And for me, that was like, that's what podcasting did for me. It was
Yes.
like I needed a good reason to get out of my special needs mom
Mm-hmm.
bubble of like, nope,
Yep.
all we do is therapy. I
Yep.
just take my kids to therapy and then come back home. And like, that's our entire lives is
Mm-hmm.
just us and no
It,
one else. And it's really isolating and makes you feel really alone. And like, no one else
mm-hmm.
has any idea what you're going through. And then I
Yep.
started my podcast and I
Yes.
started talking to other people, and it was like, oh no, I'm not actually
I'm not
alone.
alone. Yep. Exactly. So I kind of jumped around. I'm sorry if I was
No, that
confusing.
was me asking you random questions. And now I'm gonna ask you one more random question
Oh, you're
before
good.
you like keep going because I think this is a super fun question. What are you reading right now?
Ooh, what am I reading? I have ADHD. I was diagnosed a couple of years ago with adult ADHD, and so I'm always in the middle of several books. But I just finished It Gave Me You. It's one of my Utah friends'
Ooh.
memoirs about her daughter going through childhood cancer and how she met and fell in love with her spouse. Um, and that's my first book club selection for my book club that I started. I'm also reading The Book of Doors. It's like a fantasy novel that is so. I'm usually not much for a fantasy, but I usually like historical fiction and memoirs are my go-to. But that one's about basically she gets this book. Sorry if you asked me about books, so I'll keep talking.
No, you go for it. I was gonna say I was trying to remember the name of the book. I'm actually in the middle of 2 books, so keep
Yeah,
going with yours.
yeah. So it's called the Book of Doors, and she inherits this book that has all sorts of drawings and scribblings and pictures of doors, and it basically works if you open it to a picture of a book and you're standing in front of a book. Sorry, picture of a door. There we go. Picture of a door, and you're standing in front of a door. If you visualize a different door that you've been to or a different door, and open the door that you're in front of, it takes you into that other door that you're visualizing, like anywhere in the
Ooh,
world. Anyway, super interesting, but it also has like graveyard book vibes of like there are bad people wanting to get the book and things like that. Anyway, so
interesting.
that one, and then nonfiction, I'm reading The Artist's Way by
Cool.
Julia Cameron.
I still
So
need to
good.
read that one.
It's so good.
That one's
I
on my
highly recommend it.
list.
Yep, it was on mine
I
for a long time.
I have this problem of like I have this huge list of books I want to read, and then I have
Mhm.
all these ones I found at the thrift store that I'm like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, that too.
and then I'll randomly like hear about a new one and I'll start reading it in the middle of
Uh-huh.
reading something else on my list.
Oh, same.
So I was in the middle of reading Abraham Hicks, Money and the Law of Attraction.
Oh yeah, that's on my list. Yeah.
Yes, I was in the middle of reading that one, and then I Jamie Kern Lima,
Mhm.
who's the creator of It Cosmetics, she
Mhm.
just released her new book called Worthy, and so I started
Oh
reading
yeah,
that
I
one.
saw that.
Yep,
Yep.
I'm on, I don't know, I'm on like the first chapter of that one because I just got it in the middle and I was like, I need to read this one right now.
It happens. It
So
happens. I when you're talking about a never ending to be read list, I am
yeah.
your it girl. I literally on Goodreads have over 2,000 books on my to be read
Wow.
list.
Well, and what's amazing is like there was a time like when I was in that survival mode period, like I was like, no, I don't read.
Yeah.
Like I don't read books because I get too sucked in and I can't like, so I didn't read books for like a whole decade because I
Yeah.
couldn't tear myself away from the I'm in survival mode, I'm giving, giving,
Right.
giving. Like I don't know
Right.
how to be me.
Mhm.
And now that I'm like, oh wait, I'm a human. Oh wait, I'm a different person
Yes.
than the conglomerate that is kids and mesh
Mhm.
and like family life. I'm
Yes.
like, oh, wait a minute. I like
Like
doing
right
things
reading. Yes.
for me. And it's amazing how much
Yes.
like happier and healthier everybody
Mhm.
is now
It's
that
true.
like survival mode has
It's true.
ended.
Well, when I went through, I think I mentioned this already, but I went through some mental health struggles like through college and through my teaching. And so I only recognized it in hindsight, but they say that depression, one of the symptoms is that you don't have any interest in your hobbies or the things you like. I've just wrote it off as, well, it's my job. Like I'm reading so many books in college because I have to. I'm teaching about books all the time. So that's why I don't want to read. But in hindsight, it was because I was depressed. Like I didn't want to read because
Mm,
that was one of the symptoms of depression. It wasn't until I got on medication halfway through my teaching that I was like, oh, seeing again. And I was reading all the time. And I will also say, I would not get nearly as much reading done if it weren't for Audible. Audiobooks all the way for me.
yay. Well, and podcasts are so
And
great
podcasts
too.
and
And it's like,
podcasts.
oh, like it's amazing. Like the
Yes.
world we live in is so filled with amazing things that
Yep.
we get to just soak up. So
It's so true.
we went on such a tangent, but keep going with whatever I was on before.
Oh, you're good. So
Your
I was
growth
talking about,
journey.
yeah, my
That's what it
growth
was.
journey. So I was talking about how depleted I was at by the end of Lincoln's cancer treatment. And I was just like, and I was back in I was starting to recognize, I was like, yeah, even though I'm on medication, I'm not happy. Like I'm back in that dark place. Not really dark, not like suicidal ideation or anything, but just not happy. Like I just wanted more from my life. I was like, when was the last time I really thought that had that I could achieve dreams or whatever, you know? And so near the end of his treatment a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, when his treatment is done, I am seriously putting myself, if not at the top of the list, near the top of the list. I am taking time for me like in a serious way. So I signed up for a life coach. One of my friends from high school became a life coach, and I had been following her on Facebook for a long time. I was like, I was really interested in what she was doing. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I signed up with her. She helped me so much. I talked to her in one of my podcast episodes. I think it's the 3rd episode. She's so amazing. And she helped me recognize limiting beliefs and set goals and work toward them. And for years, I'd been thinking about starting a blog, but letting fear hold me back, fear of criticism, fear of what will people think, fear of is my writing good enough or whatever. And within like a month of working with Robin, I was like, no, I'm just going to do it. I was still scared, but I did it. And now my blog has been going for, let's see, I launched in July on my birthday of that year. So over a year and a half. And then I started listening to Kathy Hell, as I know so many of your listeners and guests do. And
Oh, and
I
tell us the
actually,
name of your blog before you keep going.
oh yeah, my blog is called mercy-rose.com. So Mercy Rose.
Yay,
And
it's so good.
thank you. And it's all focused on and the subtitle is Finding Joy Through Life's Trials, which is the title of my podcast. So it's all about
Yay.
looking at the roses, the blossoms in life instead of the thorns. And yeah, just finding the positive.
I love it. Sorry. So keep going. And then you found Kathy,
I
which is
found
how we
Kathy,
met.
which is how we met. And I wanted to take her podcasting course, but it was like halfway through my contract with Robin, and I still have a long way to go working on my money beliefs, my money mindset. And so I was
Don't
like,
we all? Isn't
don't
that
we all?
one? I feel like that's the never ending
I
like
think you're right.
cycle of
Yeah.
scarcity and like because we're just seeped in it from like the moment
Mm-hmm.
we're born of
So
like,
true.
oh no, there's not enough. You gotta share, you gotta
Yep.
share, you gotta share.
Yep.
There's
Exactly.
never enough. And then
Uh-huh.
we spend our adulthood like unraveling all of those
Yeah,
things
for
that were
sure.
put into us as kids.
Absolutely. So when I first met you, we were taking her podcasting boot camp, and I wanted to sign up for it then, but I was like, I'm already paying for life coaching. I'm not going to do it this year. I'll do it next year. So then the next year ran around, which was this past fall, and I almost didn't sign up again because once again those mindset things, I was like, no, I don't
It's
really have to. And I could keep working with Robin. My contract was coming to a close, and I was like, which one should I do? Because I couldn't do both. Like in my mind, that's too much money to spend on myself each month. It's not, but that's what I was thinking.
It
Anyway,
took me 3 times of hearing
did
that boot
it?
camp. Took
Did
me
it? That
three
makes me
times.
feel better.
Yeah, but I was 2 years into my podcast
Yeah.
before it.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
like, yeah, it was, it's so amazing how many times we have to hear that we're worth it before we're
Mhm.
willing to start believing it. And it's
Yes.
like we can never hear it enough times.
No.
It doesn't matter. And it's so funny how we think that we need to say something new in our podcast and when we're
Right.
speaking to people, like we need to reinvent the wheel. We need to come up with some brilliant new thing. And it's like, nope,
Nope.
people just need to hear that they're amazing. People
It's
just need to hear
true.
that they're worth it over and over and over
Mhm.
and over again because it takes them hearing it that many times before it finally starts to sink in because
Yep.
I still need to hear it.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like, there are different set points, you know? So you'll hear it and hear it and hear it and finally believe it and sign up for the podcast. And then you'll have doubts again because you're
Mm-hmm.
on that next level and have doubts and have doubts. And you need to hear it, hear it, hear it again until you launch your podcast. And then hear it, hear it, hear it again until you take the step to make an offer. And it's just never ending. And
Yep.
we're doing what we should and we're growing
Yeah.
ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we just get complacent and are like not trying to improve at all, then maybe we don't keep reaching those like doubts. I don't know, but we
Well,
probably
and then the
just
world is
in
always
different ways.
coming in.
Yes,
Like the world doesn't stop spinning. There's always going to
no,
be some new reason to doubt yourself
for sure.
because, life doesn't stop being lifey and
I
trying to
love that.
convince you.
I love
I think that's a Kathy quote, actually. I think I
Is
took,
it? I was gonna
yeah,
say I listened to your recent episode and you said that. I was like, oh, I love that. Life
yeah.
doesn't
I
stop being
think I got
lifey.
that from Kathy where she said that.
It's so true.
Because we are, we are all I'm missing the word, but we're all pieces of all the people that we take
Yes.
in, right? We
Right.
hear all of these coaches and all of these speakers and all of the books we read and all of the people around us that we
And
hear
all of the
speaking,
news and all of the family members and
right?
friends.
The
Yeah.
bad and the good.
Yep.
We are all little bits and pieces that we filter into our brains from all the people around us.
Yeah.
That's what we are then turning around and presenting to the world. So then which pieces are you choosing to take
Yeah.
from all the people around you? Are you
Yep.
choosing to, keep the good bits or the doubting bits, right?
Yep. And that's one reason why it's so important to make and stay acquainted and be in circles that help elevate you, not
Yeah,
bring you
surround
down.
yourself with the really good people like
High
you.
vibe, like you.
Yeah. So your journey, we were in the middle of
Yeah.
your journey.
I just kind of feel very lit up and ready to take on one thing after another. And I am frequently thinking, I fluctuate between, yes, I'm doing this. This is so exciting. And oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm crazy. I can't believe I put this on my plate too. But at the same time, so like I said, I have a whole laundry list of things that I've started within the last year. And to the outsider, it might seem like I'm crazy taking all of these things on. And in my own mind, sometimes it feels that way too. But I'm a very spiritual person, and every single decision I've made, I prayed about and I felt like I should do it.
Mm.
And so I feel like maybe there's a little crazy, but I'm also supposed to do it, and he'll help me do it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's one of the things I'm super grateful Kathy teaches.
Mm.
Just do it messy. And the people who are supposed to find me and love me will find me and love me. And those who are annoyed by me or whatever, they aren't my people.
Just
And so,
shine your light, and
yeah,
anyone who doesn't want to see it can look away.
exactly. So I have my podcast, I have my blog, I'm doing this reading retreat, I'm helping with fundraising. Like Lincoln is this year's, this is exciting. So
Oh yeah.
Lincoln is this year's our state, Utah's Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's honored hero for a fundraiser. So, like, I'm on that leadership team, and that starts officially next month. So, right around the corner for a few months. And so, I have my hands in all of these different things, and I'm super busy and I'm overwhelmed a lot of the time, but I'm also so fulfilled when I check something off the list that is in alignment with the person who I want to be.
Mm. Love it. You are doing so many things that light you up. And
Yeah.
isn't that like the purpose of life? Like to
Yes.
just go and do it and
Yes.
live so fully. And it's okay if it's like, oh, I'm lit up by a lot of things.
Yes.
I mean, you're talking to the girl who's got 8 episodes a week that air of my 2 podcasts, and I also have my speaking thing I'm doing, and
Right.
100,000 making my podcasting course, and I lose count. There's so many
Yeah.
things that
Right.
I'm doing, and it's like, do all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Live your life so fully that you aren't gonna get to a point ever in your future where you're like, oh, I missed out on. No, do
No,
it all now.
don't
Live
put
your
it on the
life.
someday calendar.
Yeah, because
Doesn't come
this
around.
is your
Yeah.
life to live. So
Yes.
live it and enjoy it to the fullest.
Yep. I totally agree. And it's so funny slash sad how many like limiting beliefs that I fully believed in and thought were just full on facts of, well, I can't do that because fill in the
Yeah.
blank.
Or
You can,
wait.
or wait.
Or
Yeah,
I should
exactly.
wait till my kids are grown. I should
Mm-hmm.
wait until X, Y, and Z
Yep.
because of whatever. And it's like, nope. I don't care if you're a mom. I don't care if
Yep.
whatever. Now's the time to live your life.
It's
Now
true.
is the time to be your whole self, to be fully lit up, to be your most amazing, sunshiny, star filled, like most rockin' self. Now's the
Yep.
time to be fully you.
It's true. It's true. You saying that just reminded me of, you know, for years and years, like culture and society has said, like, this is what you quote unquote should do, go to college, get the responsible job, don't get into debt, all of these things. And they're good things. And I've done most of them, but yet I was unfulfilled. And it reminds me of the fact that like my mom has talked about her parents, and I loved my grandparents, all of them. I don't have any living anymore except for Josh's one grandma, who's 97, by the way. But anyway, um, my mom's parents did all of the quote unquote right things, saved for the future, saved for retirement, were planning on traveling after they retired and whatnot. And then they died young. And then they never got to do those bucket list items,
Mm.
or at least not as many as they would have if they hadn't been so playing by the book as far as what you're supposed to do with money. And it's sad. I miss them so much, and I'm so excited to get to heaven and see them again. But I don't want to have that be my story. Josh and I, yes, we save for our trips, and we aren't irresponsible with going on trips all the time. But at the same time, my one of my aunts is like her motto in life is memories over money, like experience things that make you happy.
That's what goes with you in the
Yeah, it
end.
is.
It's
It
your
is.
experiences. And you know what? That's also what you teach people.
Yeah.
That's also what you really share with your kids and
Yep.
with the generations that follow. It's the lessons that you learn. It's the things you
Mm-hmm.
gain from your experiences. That money's not gonna last. I
Exactly.
mean, the inflation's going up constantly. That money is not
Yep.
gonna really do much good. It's the lessons and the experiences and the wisdom that you
Mhm.
gain from doing things with your life.
Yep. Yep.
Mm.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your podcast and about how we can find you and follow you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my podcast, I mentioned it earlier, but it's called Finding Joy Through Life's Trials. I am just 10 episodes in, so not very long, but I'm loving it. A new episode drops every Tuesday. And
And 10 is a great accomplishment, by the way. You're
I
saying
got
it's
to
not that
10.
far, but that's actually like really amazing.
I've
For
I've
the record.
I've gotten over the hurdle of, I'm beyond the pod fade, after
You're
7
in double
episodes.
digits.
I'm
I
in double
mean,
digits.
come
Yes,
on.
exactly. So that's great fun. I interview people and I do solo episodes about what I've learned. So I do both. And then since I've been focusing on podcasting, I haven't been as great at posting on my blog, but I'm getting there. I'm getting back into it. So that once again was mercy-rose.com. And then on Patreon, my membership is the Mercy Rose Society. On Instagram, you can find me at Ingersol, BL, and then my last name, Ingersol, Ingersoll.
Yay, I love it. Do you have any like final words of wisdom you want to share with us? Anything you want to leave us with?
Other than that, you're amazing. I've had so much fun talking to you. So thank you again for having me. I would just say I've kind of alluded to this the whole time, so I probably sound like a broken record.
Through lines are the best, by the way. So like we'll keep with the through line.
We'll
That's
keep
like
with it. I'm just telling everyone listening to take time for yourself, that it
mm,
is not selfish to fill your own cup, that you need to fill your cup in order. It's a cliche, but fill your cup so that you can pour into other people. It's very important to take time to do things that you love so that you can be more likely to love life, because that's the whole purpose.
yay. I love it. That is such an amazing message. And I think that everyone needs to hear it. And we
Mm-hmm.
need to hear it over and over and over again
We
because
do.
it's so easy to get sucked into the doing and the not
Uh-huh.
and the
And the
not
should
living.
and shouldn't and the, yeah.
Yep. And we forget that like we're here to have joy.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to love our lives.
Yes.
And if you're not loving your life, take a minute to figure out why, because the only person who's responsible for you is you.
Yep.
You need to start figuring out what you can do to change it because no one else gets to do that for you. No one else is
Mm-hmm.
living your life for you.
Mm-hmm.
You get to do it for you.
Yep. Absolutely. Can I say one more thing that I just
Yeah.
remembered? I thought this early this morning and wanted to make sure I shared it. So I talked about like set points, and we keep having the same doubts come up over and over and having to relearn. So I've talked about all these amazing things I've done and been doing, but I've also been struggling with lots of doubts. And questioning, if it's quote unquote worth it, and like being far too concerned. I totally admit I need to get over this, but being too concerned about quote unquote vanity metrics, like how many followers do I have, or how am I growing my audience? Are people signing up for my things? And my what I'm getting to is you need to figure out your why
Mm.
that keeps you going, because I'm gonna cry, but like I've been wondering all of these things and struggling with like feeling like I'm making a difference at all. And then something comes up, like last night I found out that one of my childhood cancer mom friends got some devastating news. And that happens a lot in this world that I continue to put myself in. Like I could just turn my back and be like, oh, that's in my past, but I don't want to. I want to pay it forward. And I wrote a blog post or Facebook post or something several months ago when we lost another cancer cutie. And they're my why. Like the families that are going through so many difficult things in the trenches. I want to help them know they're not alone. I want to help other families and moms and kids know that they can have joy and they can take time for themselves. And life doesn't have to just be in survival mode. You have to look for the blossoms even when there are thorns. And so when I read about this friend and what her family is going through, it was just yet another wake up call that we get over and over again. It does matter. You're doing it for them. So I just encourage everyone to also find their why.
Yes, 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 and yes. And I want you to know that like so many more people are watching and are listening than you realize. Because what I've come to know in my podcasting journey is that there's a lot of silent watchers.
Yeah,
There's a lot of,
true.
just like you and I listened and watched Kathy's stuff and did not act for
Yeah.
years. There
Mm-hmm.
are people who are watching you take your journey who are not sure that they're worthy to act yet,
Yeah.
who need to be told another 100 times
Right.
that they are worthy to even talk to you because they don't think that they're worthy yet. And they're there. They just don't see it in themselves yet. And they need that encouragement more from you, not less. They need you to believe in yourself even more so that they can know that they're worth rising to be even in your world. They need you to have that confidence in yourself. That's what I've learned from my
Yeah.
couple of years of podcasting. And I also have those doubts all the time. So don't give up. Keep
Yeah.
going because you are making an impact even when you don't see it in the numbers. The
Right.
numbers are actually kind of meaningless.
Yes.
They
Yes.
really are. You're having an impact. Your energy, your light, it is being seen, even when it's not always being totally reflected.
Yeah. I feel that and I hear it. Thank you, Karaleigh.
Love you so much. Thank you so much for
You
being on
too.
today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much, Becca, for being willing to come on the Seeking Sunshine podcast. I feel like such a lighter, happier person after hearing Becca talk. She is just so amazing. So here are my favorite takeaways, and oh my gosh, these are just the best takeaways ever. These are like life-changing. So, number one, any trial that you go through has the potential to make you so much more empathetic. Number two, it's all about looking at the roses in life instead of the thorns. Number three, it's so amazing how many times we have to hear that we're worth it before we're willing to start believing it. We can never hear it enough times. Number four, now is the time to live your life. Now is the time to be your whole self, to be fully lit up, to be your most amazing, sunshiny, star-filled, most rockin' self. Now is the time to be fully you. Number five, memories over money. Experience things that make you happy. Number six, take time for yourself. It's not selfish. You need to fill your own cup so you can pour into others. It's very important to take time to do things that you love so that you can be more likely to love life, because that's the whole purpose. And number 7, so many more people are watching and are listening than you realize. There's a lot of silent watchers. There are people who are watching you take your journey who are not sure that they're worthy to act yet, that need to be told another 100 times that they are worthy to even talk to you, because they don't think that they're worthy yet. They're there, they just don't see it in themselves yet, and they need that encouragement more from you, not less. They need you to believe in yourself even more so that they can know that they're worth rising to even be in your world. They need you to have that confidence in yourself. So don't give up. Keep going, because you are making an impact. Your energy, your light, it is being seen. Oh my gosh, so good. Please make sure you go check out all of Becca's stuff. Her blog is www.mercy-rose.com. Her amazing podcast, which I got to be on not too long ago, is Finding Joy Through Life's Trials. Her Patreon is the Mercy Rose Society, and you can go check her out on Instagram at Blingersol, which is BL Ingersol, which is her last name. Becca is so awesome, and it was such fun to have her on the show today. So, again, if you are interested in starting your own podcast, the link for the podcast creation course is in the show notes, and I would be so thrilled if you would just go check it out. Again, the first 2 videos in that course are free to go watch if you want to just tell me that I did a good job. I would really appreciate it. And then also in the show notes, there's a link for the snippet of sunshine, which, as you know, is the daily quote, and that's really fun. And then my website, which is kind of like, I'm kind of locked out of my website at the moment, so I haven't been able to update it, but some of it's up to date. And then the Podcast Like a Mother podcast link is over there if you want to learn more about podcasting. There's great stuff over there too. So thank you so much for being here today. I hope that if you enjoyed this episode that you will subscribe to the show so that you get notifications every single time there's a new episode. And I also hope that if you loved Becca, that you'll share this with someone who needs her message, because I know there's so many people who need to hear from her, who need to hear about her particular experience. So if that is something that you can do to support her, I think the world really does need her message. And at that, I'm going to wish you well. I hope you have an amazing week, and I'm going to leave you with a song. When I was young, you told me you'd always be there to hold me. Now I see you're right here with me. My life has been hard, you've seen it, it's not gone the way I planned it, but still here you stand, my safe place to land. I know that it's rare to find a home as good as mine. Steadfast and stable, you taught me I am able. Careworn and humble, you catch me when I stumble. Patiently there for me, sight beyond what I can see. You taught me what life is supposed to be. Yeah, you taught me what life is supposed to be. Life has moved on, and I've grown, raised a family of my own. You're never too far from where we are. It's thanks to you that I know just how to serve. Let love show, you taught me the way thankful each day. I know that it's rare to find a home as good as mine. Steadfast and stable, you taught me I am able. Careworn and humble, you catch me when I stumble. Patiently there for me, sight beyond what I can see. You taught me what life is supposed to be. You taught me what life is supposed to be. I don't know what I would have done without you in my life. I don't know what I would have done without you by my side. Steadfast and stable, you taught me I am able. Careworn and humble, you catch me when I stumble. Patiently there for me, sight beyond what I can see. You taught me what life is supposed to be. Steadfast and stable, you taught me I am able. Careworn and humble, you catch me when I stumble. Patiently there for me, sight beyond what I can see. You taught me what life is supposed to be. Yeah, you taught me